Welcome to this episode of What's Happening Waupaca. Today's guests are Amber, Nancy, and Jim from the Veterans Home. And Nancy, we haven't seen you here before, so welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back, Jim. We've seen you a couple of times. You are welcome. Always good to have you on. And of course, Amber, you're just kind of becoming a regular around here.
And I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Oh, sure. We're glad. We like to talk about the things going on at King. I personally like it for a couple of reasons. And the first is because King is such an integral part of the Waupaca community, as not only as housing for veterans, but as jobs for the local people and, you know, all of that kind of thing. And Josh and I were just out there a couple of weeks ago, and the beauty of the grounds just never ceases to amaze me. I just think it's a great place. But so today what we're going to talk about, you were telling me just a couple of minutes ago, Amber, that you just had your volunteer appreciation banquet.
We did.
And I know that Nancy and Jim were both honored at that banquet.
They were.
But tell me about it.
You know, it's amazing. One of the ways that King is so unique, you think of the staff, you think of the veterans and their dependents that call King home. But really what separates King apart from really any facility anywhere is the dedication and loyalty that we have from our volunteers. We recognized 465 registered volunteers, over 50,000 hours of volunteer service, which equated to a dollar amount of, I think it was $1.5 million if you were to pay.
That number is just huge.
And you can't put a dollar to volunteers, I mean, really, but when you're looking at it from a statistic-wise, you can imagine the amount of support that we get from them, which really enables us to go above and beyond what any other facility could do. So they're treasured, they're honored. Both of these wonderful people just dedicate so much time, they give so much love. They make a nursing home environment can be a very tough transition for a lot of people.
Yes.
And so when you have volunteers, you know, Jim lives at the home and is a volunteer. And then you have Nancy, who grew up at King.
Well, yeah, Amber was telling me a couple of minutes ago, Nancy, that you really started volunteering at King as a little girl. Is that true, or was she pulling my leg?
No, that's true.
So what were you doing at King as a girl?
Well, I was born and grew up in King, just down the road on Taylor Lake, which is just one lake over from Rainbow Lake.
Sure.
And so as a little girl, I used to ride my tricycle up to King to the post office where we had our post office box. And my dad would let me ride up there every day and get our mail. And I'd just pedal like crazy to get back home, you know, hanging onto that mail and say hi to the veterans and talk with them and visit with them. I actually went to church and Sunday school at the church at King. We used to attend, years ago they had traveling minstrel shows in the amusement hall, which is no longer there. We used to go to the minstrel shows once a month when they would have them. And I'd get to interact with the veterans that way also.
So you really have had a chance over the last like 20 or 25 years since you were riding a tricycle.
Thank you for that.
You really have had a chance to see King grow.
Yes.
I mean, that must be an amazing kind of, if you look back to what it was when you were a little girl on a tricycle at 5 or 6 years old or whatever it was, to today. That must be quite the transformation you've seen out there.
It is, because when I was younger, of course, all of the buildings out there at that time were wood. There weren't any of the modern facilities that they have now. They used to have a big baseball diamond there on the grounds at King to where the teams from town and even as a young girl in high school, we used to come out there and play baseball for the veterans there on the grounds. One of my uncles was a fire chief at King for many, many years. So, you know, my history with King is pretty intact. It's,
oh yeah, it's a forever kind of thing. Yeah. And Jim, you were honored for your volunteering, and we know that you're also a resident at King. So it's, I think one of the interesting things about King is that I don't have to be ready to go into a nursing home to be able to reside there. I mean, you have different levels.
We do. We're not in assisted living, but our youngest veteran is 31 years old. You know, our oldest veteran is nearing 100. Traumatic brain injury, different types of mental health ailments that are out there, post-traumatic stress disorder, multiple tours. We have veterans and dependents of veterans, you know, who literally are on their last days, to veterans that have wounds that you can't see.
Oh.
You know, that are deep. So it's, I mean, you think of a 31-year-old need compared to, you know, somebody who's nearing 100. That's quite a range. But at the same time, there's a camaraderie that sticks them all together.
Because they're all veterans, which is, you know, I have friends who are veterans, and I don't do it often enough, I don't think, but I do my best to thank them, because I have the life I have, because men were willing to sign a blank check to the military in order to protect the lifestyle I want. And there is no thank you that is big enough for that, Jim. Mm-hmm. But you're also a volunteer there. You're very active with King. What kinds of things do you do?
Mostly I work with the other veterans, and I transport them from area to area for their appointments, and mostly it's that. And sometimes I work in the offices with Amber on the computers, and I enjoy every minute of it.
Cool. And Nancy, what do? You told me that you're a jack of all trades.
Jill.
Jill,
you said Jill.
Jill of all trades.
Okay. I do a little bit of everything, really. I work a lot. Actually, I'm the hospital representative for the American Legion Auxiliary. So I kind of coordinate our volunteers there at King and visit with them and see what they do on a day-to-day basis. I also deliver groceries. I host bingo parties. We sponsor, in Ainsworth Hall, we have 2 floors which are dedicated to our Alzheimer dementia patients. And I do a lot of sponsoring on those 2 floors as far as buying treats for them through the auxiliary. And it's very rewarding. You know, I myself am a veteran. I enlisted to the Air Force when I was 18 years old on my birthday. And so being raised around King kind of took me to that. And so I wanted to give back. I wanted to change the world and do all that kind of stuff, you know, at that
And
young
you
age.
did.
So in some ways, sure.
Sure. Well, we change our world.
Right.
And when we change our little tiny world for the better, we change the entire world. That's a whole different philosophy of mine. We want to talk Amber, about your open house coming up this year, and you're on here every single year talking about it, because it's a huge function of King and a great way for the area, anyone who isn't very familiar with it, to get familiar with King and what they do in the grounds and that beautiful lanai that's right in the lake. So tell me about this year's open house.
You know, really, Joni, we try to accommodate to all ages. So when you think of open house and you think coming to the Veterans Home at King, you may not think that we have a clown there that does face painting. We have jumpies for the kids, those big, huge jumpies. We have 4-H that's out there doing 4-H games. For people who are connoisseurs of cars, I don't know if you call them a connoisseur, but that's the term I'm going to use, 200 plus cars, old cars on display. A lot of them have been coming for years and years and years. Then we also have a military vintage car show. The chief of Waupaca loans us their big paddle boat for the day. So we have the paddle boat rides going out. We have the Justman Band in the main park giving us that beautiful entertainment and rocking the house a little bit. Every single veteran service organization you can think of that supports King, the American Legion Auxiliary, AMVETS, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Disabled American Veterans, Marine Corps League, Vietnam Veterans of America, and we believe right now we have 47 vendors registered to have a table there just to showcase how they support the Veterans Home at King, how they support patriotism, and really we wouldn't be what we are without them.
Well, and it really isn't about supporting the home. It's about supporting the veterans.
It is, but you know, for us, the way that we see it, and the way that if you talk to a lot of those service organizations, you say to Nancy, you know, I might be here someday. I might be at King someday. I don't think it's anything anybody really necessarily looks forward to. Nobody really wants to leave their home. But you get what you give. And veterans have a term that they say is no veteran left behind. I've got your six. And really, a lot of people feel that connection at King because a lot of the veterans are there at a time in their life where they need a little extra help. They need a little extra love. And so coming to King is very fulfilling. And we wouldn't be what we are. I mean, just to put this numerically, 90% of our activities and what we do on King are funded and almost staffed by the organizations that support us. If we relied on government funds alone, we would not be able to do a fraction of what we do. So really, they are magical and golden to really what we're able to accomplish there. And it's because of that loyalty and dedication, and you get what you give.
So again, it is May 15th.
May 15th.
It's a wonderful day of being able to be out and about and look at King and talk to all of the different vendors and everybody that's around there, take a paddle boat ride. I mean, it's a great day. And then you're going to follow that up with Memorial Day. So what do you have going on for Memorial Day?
Really 4 events. And that's a lot to pack in on Memorial Day, but it really kicks off with the flag planting. If you're not aware, not only do we have King as the campus, but across the street we have approximately 7,000 veterans and their dependents laid to rest. If you haven't been there, it's just gorgeous, it's breathtaking.
And Sergeant Brownie.
Sergeant Brownie, the dog. You know, we have a Medal of Honor recipient buried there, going all the way back to 1887 with Isaac Baker as the first veteran from Civil War to be buried in that cemetery. So there's a long history. So we start there with the flag planting. We ask volunteers to come out at, we're going to try to change it to 8:30 this year. If people still want to come out at 6, that's fine, but we got a lot of people that say, hey, you know, we really want to stay for the programming. So we're going to do both. Come out, plant a flag. At 9:30, we do a waterside ceremony, which is led by the Women's Relief Corps and the Sons of the Union Veterans, who are the founders of King back in 1887 in the Civil War era. So we really allow them to be that iconic, we built King, remember who we are, remember our traditional. Then from there we parade, we form up at the Martin Center, parade over to the cemetery, where this year we're gonna have a flyover. We've organized a flyover, it'll be called a Missing Man Formation. So the cemetery program will kick off with that. Special speaker, featured speaker will be Brigadier General Vince Baker, who is also a member of the Sons of the Union Veterans. So his ancestry are the founding fathers of King. So then the 4th event is entertainment in the park. You know, ice cream, entertainment in the park. Really want to impress upon people, it's not a 4-day weekend. It's not the kickoff of summer, it's not just camping. There is a reason we celebrate Memorial Day. So before people head out to those activities, I encourage you, 11 o'clock, stop, have a moment of silence. Think about those who gave their life, who paid the ultimate price for us to enjoy the freedoms that we have today.
Absolutely. For us to be able to live the life, for me to have the life I have, there were people that had to be willing to die for that. And there's no way to say thank you. There isn't. It doesn't exist. So thanks for being on here
Thanks for having
today.
us.
Nancy, Jim, thank you again for serving our country and for doing what you did to make sure that the rest of us have the lives that we have. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
And thanks for being on the show. It's always nice to see. It's always nice to see you, Jim and Amber, and it was wonderful meeting you too,
Thank you.
Nancy.
Thank you. I think one of my biggest joys on the days that I'm at King and I'm volunteering, if I can make a veteran smile, then I know I've done good for that day.
You know, my husband is like that too. My husband is all about making people smile. So, you know, I live with that, but I understand that philosophy, and that does make all the difference because smiles are huge. I mean, they're just huge, being able to share a little bit of joy and love with people.
You know you've touched someone.
Yes, exactly. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of What's Happening in Waupaca. Please tune in again next week for another show.